The doctors told him it was permanent. 3 years of visiting specialists across 3 continents. 3 years of medications that made him nauseous. 3 years of beautiful women looking at him with pity when his body refused to cooperate. Kim Tae-jun, Seoul's most feared loan shark and underground casino king, was impotent. And no amount of money could fix what the car accident had broken. Until he heard her voice. This is the story of how one Nigerian woman's words became the only medicine that worked. But to understand what she healed, you first need to know what destroyed him. Tae-jun moved through the VIP lounge of his casino like a man already dead. 33 years old. Built an empire from nothing. Controlled half of Gangnam's underground economy. But what did power matter when your body reminded you daily that you were broken? The accident happened 3 years ago. Drunk driver. Head-on collision. He survived with minor injuries. 2 cracked ribs. Whiplash. The doctors said he was lucky. Lucky. What they didn't tell him was that trauma does things to your body that X-rays can't see. That psychological damage manifests physically in ways that destroy you from the inside out. Complete erectile dysfunction. That's what the urologist called it. Psychological origin. No physical cause we can identify. Try these medications. Try therapy. Try hypnosis. Try acceptance. He tried everything except acceptance. American specialists who charged $50,000 to tell him it was all in his head. German doctors who prescribed pills that left him sick for days. A Chinese herbalist in Hong Kong who promised ancient remedies that did absolutely nothing. Beautiful women. So many beautiful women. All of them looking at him with that same expression when nothing happened. Pity mixed with disappointment. Some kind. Some cruel. All reminders that Kim Tae-jun, the man who made Seoul's elite beg for loans, couldn't perform the most basic function of manhood. So he walked through his own casino. Past tables where millions changed hands. Past private rooms where deals were made and lives were ruined. Past everything he'd built. Feeling like an imposter in his own empire. His phone buzzed. Manager reporting that tonight's take was up 15%. Good news he couldn't care about. Money meant nothing when you felt like less than a man. He was heading toward his private elevator when he heard it. A voice. Rich. Melodic. With an accent that made something in his chest tighten. Excuse me, but this machine ate my money and I'm not leaving without either my cash or an explanation. Tae-jun turned. She stood at a slot machine near the VIP entrance. Arms crossed. Facing down his head of security like she owned the building instead of him. Her skin was deep brown. Glowing under the casino's golden lights. Natural hair pulled back in an elegant bun. She wore a simple black dress that somehow looked more expensive than anything else in the room. But it was her posture that stopped him. Confident. Unafraid. Completely out of place and absolutely magnetic. His security guard Chul, who'd worked for him for 8 years, looked genuinely apologetic. Tae-jun moved closer before he understood why. What's the problem? His voice came out rougher than intended. She turned. Eyes meeting his without hesitation. No recognition. No fear. Just irritation. Your machine took 500,000 won and refuses to give it back or let me play. I'd like one or the other, please. Nigerian. The accent was unmistakably Nigerian. Specifically Yoruba, if he wasn't mistaken. Machines don't malfunction in my casino. It came out more defensive than he intended. Her eyebrow rose. Your casino? Then you're the person I need to speak with. Your machine, which does apparently malfunction despite your confidence, owes me money. Chul cleared his throat. Boss, I was just explaining that we need to call the technician. How much did it take? Tae-jun interrupted. 500,000. He pulled out his wallet, retrieved 10 bills of 100,000 won each, extended them toward her. 1,000,000 won for your trouble. And your next visit is free. Complimentary VIP access. She stared at the money without taking it. I don't want charity. I want what I paid for. It's not charity. It's customer service. It's buying my silence. There's a difference. Tae-jun felt something he hadn't felt in 3 years. Heat spreading through his abdomen. His pulse quickening. His skin flushing. Impossible. He pulled the money back abruptly. Stuffed it in his pocket. Kneaded both hands on his wallet to hide the fact that they were shaking. Then what do you want? His voice came out strained. She studied him, really looked at him. Not at his expensive suit or his obvious authority. At him. I want you to fix your machine. And I want an apology for your security guard treating me like I'm trying to scam you instead of like a customer who got scammed by your equipment. Tae-jun turned to Chul. Fix it. Now. And apologize. Chul bowed immediately. I apologize, miss. Completely my mistake. I'll have the technician here in 5 minutes. She softened slightly. Thank you. Then she looked back at Tae-jun. And you? Do you apologize for assuming I was lying? I didn't assume you were lying. You assumed I wanted charity instead of justice. Same thing. She was right. He had. I apologize. The words felt foreign. How long since he'd apologized to anyone? You were right. I was wrong. The machine will be fixed, and you'll get your money back with interest for the inconvenience. She smiled then. Small but genuine. That's better. What's your name? Tae-jun. Kim Tae-jun. I'm Amara. Amara Okonkwo. She extended her hand. He took it. Her palm was warm, soft, the handshake firm, and the touch sent electricity through his entire body. 3 years. 3 years of feeling nothing. And one handshake with a stranger made his body respond like he was 18 again. Panic and exhilaration hit simultaneously. He released her hand too quickly, stepped back, needed distance before he embarrassed himself. The technician will be here shortly, he managed. If you'll excuse me. Running away already? We just met. I have business to attend to. At midnight in your own casino where everything runs smoothly without you? She tilted her head. Or are you uncomfortable because I challenged you? Both. Neither. He was uncomfortable because his body was doing things it hadn't done in 3 years and he didn't understand how or why. I'll make sure you're taken care of. He turned toward the elevator. Her voice followed him. Kim Tae-jun who apologizes and runs away. Interesting combination. He didn't look back. Don't subscribe if you're tired of real stories that make you feel something. But if you're ready for a romance that'll completely wreck you, stay a little longer. We're just getting started. In his penthouse office, Tae-jun paced. His heart still racing. His body still humming with sensation he'd thought lost forever. He'd tried everything to fix himself. Everything. Doctors. Medications. Therapy. Experimental treatments in clinics that weren't quite legal. Beautiful women who'd been patient or frustrated or pitying. Nothing worked. 5 minutes with a stranger who argued about a slot machine and his body responded completely. It made no sense. He pulled out his phone, texted his head of information. Amara Okonkwo, Nigerian, currently in my casino. I want to know everything. The response came within an hour. Amara Okonkwo, 31, Nigerian, moved to Seoul 4 years ago. Works as a cultural liaison for a tech company, connecting African startups with Korean investors. Clean record. No connections to gambling or criminal enterprises. Single. Lives in Itaewon. Attended university in Lagos. Master's degree in international business. The report included a photo. Amara laughing at some corporate event. Her face lit with genuine joy. Tae-jun stared at it longer than necessary. When was the last time he'd felt joy? When was the last time he'd felt anything except shame and frustration? He went to bed but didn't sleep. His mind replayed their interaction. Her voice. Her confidence. The way she'd looked at him without fear or calculation. His body responded to the memory alone. The impossibility consumed him. How could one woman accomplish what 3 years of medical intervention couldn't? By dawn he'd made a decision. He'd find her again. Not because he needed answers though he did, but because for 5 minutes in that casino, Kim Tae-jun had felt like a man instead of a ghost. 3 days later he saw her again. Not in his casino. In a coffee shop in Itaewon. She sat by the window with a laptop and headphones. Working. Completely focused. Tae-jun entered before he could second-guess himself. She looked up when he approached her table. Surprise flickered across her features. Then amusement. The ghost returns. Did you come to apologize again or run away again? Neither. I came to buy you coffee. I already have coffee. Then I came to ask you to dinner. Her eyebrows rose. That's direct. What happened to the man who fled his own casino? He realized fleeing was stupid. And now I'm hoping you'll say yes to dinner. Amara closed her laptop, studied him with those perceptive eyes that saw too much. Why? Because you're interesting. Because you challenge me. Because I haven't been able to stop thinking about you for 3 days. That's honest. I appreciate honesty. She paused. But I don't date men involved in certain businesses. How do you know what business I'm in? I googled you. Kim Tae-jun. Underground casino king. Loan shark. Connected to Seoul's less legal economic activities. Her voice remained neutral. I've done the dangerous man thing before. It didn't end well. Tae-jun sat without being invited. What if I promise I'm trying to be less dangerous? Can you promise that? No. But I can promise honesty. I can promise that whatever this is between us, and there is something you felt it too, I won't lie to you about who I am or what I do. She leaned back, arms crossed. What makes you think there's something between us? We had one conversation. You're still here. You haven't told me to leave. That means you're curious. Curiosity isn't consent. No. But it's a start. Silence stretched between them. Tae-jun felt exposed in a way that had nothing to do with conversation. She was reading him, seeing past the expensive suit and controlled demeanor to something vulnerable underneath. One dinner, she finally said. Public place. I drive myself. And the moment you lie to me or I feel unsafe, I leave. Understood. Understood. And Kim Tae-jun? Yes. Don't confuse my willingness to have dinner with approval of your lifestyle. I'm giving you one chance to prove you're more than your reputation. That's all I'm asking. The dinner was at a high-end restaurant in Gangnam. Neutral territory. Tae-jun had reserved a private section, not for romance, but because being seen with him put her at risk and he wouldn't do that to her. Amara arrived in a dress that was both elegant and practical, professional, like she was meeting a business contact instead of a man who'd asked her out. Smart. No bodyguards? She asked, settling into her seat. They're outside. I didn't think you'd appreciate them hovering. I appreciate that consideration. They ordered. The conversation started carefully. Professional topics. Her work connecting African startups with Korean investors. His legitimate business holdings. He had those too, though they were overshadowed by the illegal ones. But gradually they moved deeper. Why Seoul? He asked. Of all the places you could have gone with your degrees and experience, why here? Because it was far enough from home that I could rebuild myself. She took a sip of wine. After my ex, after everything that happened in Lagos, I needed distance. Seoul offered that. Plus the opportunity was incredible. Korean tech companies want access to African markets, but don't understand the cultural complexities. I bridged that gap. Your ex, the dangerous man you mentioned. She nodded. Politician. Charming. Powerful. Violent behind closed doors. It took me 2 years to leave and another year to feel safe. So when I say I don't do dangerous men anymore, I mean it. I've earned my peace. Tae-jun felt something uncomfortable twist in his chest. Guilt maybe. Or recognition that he represented exactly what she'd fled. I'm not him, he said quietly. How do you know? Do dangerous men realize they're dangerous? Or do they all think they're exceptions? Fair point. He set down his fork. I can't promise I'm not dangerous. My business requires it. But I can promise I would never hurt you. Never make you afraid. Never trap you in something you didn't choose. Pretty words. But men like you, men with power, you hurt people without meaning to. It's collateral damage of the life you lead. She wasn't wrong. What would you need to feel safe? He asked. With you? I don't know if that's possible. Try. Tell me what you need and I'll figure out if I can give it to you. Amara studied him for a long moment. Honesty. Complete transparency about the risks. If being associated with you puts a target on me, I deserve to know. Not after the fact. Before. Agreed. And I need to maintain my independence. My work. My apartment. My life. I won't become someone's kept woman or protected prisoner. I wouldn't ask you to. Men say that. Then they slowly take control until you don't recognize your own life anymore. Tae-jun leaned forward. I spent 3 years feeling like I'd lost control of my own body. Like I was trapped in something I couldn't escape. I would never do that to someone else. Never. Something shifted in her expression. What happened 3 years ago? He hadn't meant to reveal that. The words slipped out, born from her honesty demanding his own. Car accident. I survived physically, but there were complications. Psychological complications that manifested as physical problems. He couldn't say the words. Couldn't admit the full truth. Not yet. But Amara's eyes softened with understanding. You were injured in ways doctors couldn't fix. Yes. And you're still healing. I'm trying to. She reached across the table, took his hand. The touch sent that same electric current through him. His body responding instantly. Thank you for telling me that. I know it wasn't easy. It wasn't. But her reaction, compassion instead of pity, made it worthwhile. They talked for 3 more hours. About everything. Her childhood in Lagos. His rise from poverty to power. Philosophy and music and the strange experience of being foreign in Seoul. Her because of skin and accent. Him because of choices that put him outside society's boundaries. When the evening ended, Tae-jun walked her to her car. Can I see you again? He asked. Maybe. If you promise to keep being honest. I promise. She smiled. Then surprised him by stepping close. Kim Tae-jun. The dangerous man trying to be less dangerous. You're either going to break my heart or heal something in me I didn't know was broken. What if we heal each other? That would require both of us being broken. Are you broken? Completely. Then maybe we have a chance. She kissed his cheek. Quick. Innocent. But the touch of her lips against his skin ignited something in him that felt close to hope. Over the next month they fell into a pattern. Dinner once a week. Coffee twice a week. Long phone conversations where they talked about everything except the obvious tension building between them. Tae-jun learned that Amara loved Afrobeat music and could cook Nigerian jollof rice that made his eyes water and his heart sing. That she missed her family but needed the distance. That she dreamed of opening her own consulting firm but feared the risk. Amara learned that Tae-jun had built his empire to protect his younger sister. Now safely in university in America, completely separate from his business. That he'd grown up poor enough that hunger became normal. That despite his reputation he followed a strict code. He hurt people who chose his world but never innocence. You're a criminal with ethics, she observed one evening over wine in her apartment. That's an interesting contradiction. I prefer strategic morality. Hurting innocence creates enemies. Hurting people who understand the game creates respect. You make it sound so simple. It's not simple. But it's honest. She moved closer on her couch. I'm starting to believe you're actually trying to be honest with me. That's terrifying. Why terrifying? Because it means I might actually fall for you. And that would be spectacularly stupid given your profession and my history. Tae-jun set down his wine. I haven't been able to feel desire for 3 years. Medications didn't work. Therapy didn't work. Beautiful women didn't work. Then I heard your voice and everything came back. What am I supposed to do with that except fall completely? Amara's breath caught. What are you saying? I'm saying that since the accident I've been impotent. Complete inability to perform. Every doctor said it was permanent. Psychological damage that couldn't be healed. He forced himself to meet her eyes. Then you argued with me about a slot machine and I felt something. And it hasn't stopped. Around you my body works. Away from you it doesn't. You healed something medical science said was permanent. Tears filled her eyes. That's not fair to put on me. That's too much responsibility. I'm not asking you to fix me. I'm telling you that you already did. Somehow. Without trying. Just by being yourself. She pulled back. Stood. Paced to the window. I can't be someone's medicine. That's not sustainable. What happens when the novelty wears off? When I'm just a regular woman with flaws and bad days? Does your body stop working again? I don't know. Exactly. You don't know. This could be temporary. Psychological trick. Your body responding to something new and exciting. And then what? I've fallen for you and you realize I was just a temporary fix. Tae-jun stood, moved to her. Or it's real. Or you awaken something permanent. Or we're building something that lasts beyond physical response. You don't know that. No. But I'm willing to find out. Are you? She turned, looked at him with those eyes that always saw too much. If I do this, if I let myself fall, I need you to promise me something. Anything. Promise me that when it ends, and it probably will, relationships like ours usually do, you'll let me go. You won't use your power to keep me trapped. You won't make my life harder out of hurt feelings. You'll just let me walk away clean. The thought of her walking away made his chest constrict painfully, but he understood what she needed. I promise. If you want to leave, I'll let you go. No retaliation. No making your life difficult. Clean break. She searched his face, looking for lies or performance, finding only raw honesty. Okay. Okay. Let's be spectacularly stupid together and see what happens. She kissed him then. Not on the cheek this time. On the mouth. Deep and searching and full of a desperation that matched his own. Tae-jun responded with 3 years of pent-up hunger. His hands tangling in her hair. His body pressed against hers. Every cell screaming that this was right, that she was right, that whatever magic she'd worked on him was permanent and necessary. They made it to her bedroom eventually. Stumbling. Laughing. Nervous. I haven't done this in 3 years, he admitted. I might not be any good anymore. Then we'll figure it out together. She was patient. Gentle. Leading when he hesitated. Taking control when his nerves threatened to ruin everything. And when they finally came together, when his body responded completely and overwhelmingly, Tae-jun felt something break open in his chest. Not just physical relief. Emotional release. 3 years of shame and frustration and feeling less than human dissolved in the warmth of her acceptance. Afterward she held him. His face pressed against her neck. His breathing ragged. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For making me feel human again. You were always human. You just forgot for a while. They fell asleep like that. Tangled together. 2 people who'd survived different traumas finding unexpected healing in each other. The next morning reality intruded. Tae-jun's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Business that couldn't wait. A situation requiring his immediate attention. I have to go, he said reluctantly. Amara stretched. Beautiful and rumpled in the morning light. I know. Your world doesn't stop just because we had a good night. It was more than a good night. I know that too. She kissed him softly. Go handle your business. I'll be here when you're done. Or I won't. Either way we're okay. That casual acceptance, the lack of clinginess or demands, made him love her more. I'll call you later. I'll answer if I'm not busy. He left feeling lighter than he had in years. The situation that needed his attention was a client who defaulted on a significant loan. Standard business. Usually handled by his lieutenants. But this client had connections and required Tae-jun's personal involvement. He handled it efficiently, made the terms clear, gave options, ensured the debt would be paid one way or another. By the time he returned to his office, it was late afternoon. His head of security was waiting, face grim. What? Tae-jun asked. We have a problem. Someone was asking questions about you, about your personal life, specifically about a Nigerian woman you've been seen with. Tae-jun's blood ran cold. Who? We don't know yet. But boss, whoever it is, they know about Amara Okonkwo. They know where she works, where she lives. Someone's watching you both. Stay with me. This is where everything changes. Because love in Seoul's underworld comes with consequences. Tae-jun arrived at Amara's apartment within 20 minutes. She opened the door in casual clothes, smiling. Hey, I wasn't expecting. He walked in, checked every room, every window, ensuring she was alone and safe. Tae-jun, what's wrong? Someone's watching you, asking questions about us. My people don't know who yet, but they're professional. This isn't amateur curiosity. Her smile faded. What does that mean? It means someone's identified you as important to me. In my world, that makes you leverage. A potential target. Amara sat heavily on her couch. Already? We've been together for a month. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. You warned me. I chose this. She looked up at him. What do we do? I increase security around you. Discreetly. You won't even know they're there. And I find out who's asking questions and handle it. Handle it how? You don't want those details. Yes, I do. If I'm at risk, I deserve to know exactly how you operate. Tae-jun sat beside her. I'll identify who's asking questions. Then I'll send a message that you're off limits. That message will be clear and decisive. People will understand the cost of targeting you. People will get hurt. People who chose to threaten you will face consequences. Yes. Amara processed this. Her hands shaking slightly. I knew this would happen. I knew choosing you meant danger. But knowing it intellectually and experiencing it are different things. Do you want out? The question tore at him, but he had to ask. I promised I'd let you go if you wanted. That promise stands. She looked at him for a long moment. Do you love me? Yes. Even though we've only known each other a month? Time doesn't matter when you're drowning. You don't count the days. You just know you need air. And I'm your air. You're everything. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I love you too. Which is stupid and reckless and probably going to get me killed. But I do. Tae-jun pulled her close. I won't let anyone hurt you. I promise. You can't promise that. Then I promise I'll die trying to keep you safe. Is that enough? She laughed through her tears. That's the most romantic and terrifying thing anyone's ever said to me. Over the next week, Tae-jun's people identified the threat. A rival organization testing boundaries. Seeing if Tae-jun's personal relationship created exploitable vulnerability. They'd sent people to watch Amara's apartment. To her workplace. Following her. Gathering information. Tae-jun handled it with surgical precision. He didn't start a war. Didn't need to. He sent 3 of his best people to deliver a simple message to the rival organization's leadership. Touching Amara Okonkwo means war. Not business competition. Personal war. The kind that ends with complete destruction. They backed off immediately. Word spread through Seoul's underground. Kim Tae-jun's woman was untouchable. Anyone who tested that boundary wouldn't survive the experience. The security around Amara remained but discreet. Professional. She barely noticed the men who watched her apartment building. The team that shadowed her to and from work. Life stabilized. They fell into a new rhythm. Dinner 3 times a week. Coffee every morning before work. Him in his office, her in hers, but on the phone together. Weekend mornings in bed. Long conversations about everything and nothing. Tae-jun learned that Amara talked to her mother every Sunday. That she missed Nigerian food enough to spend entire afternoons cooking in her small kitchen. That she dreamed of starting her own consulting firm but feared the financial risk. What if I funded it? He offered one morning over coffee in her apartment. Absolutely not. Why not? I have money. You have dreams. Seems simple. It's not simple. If you fund it, it becomes yours. I lose ownership. I lose independence. And if we break up, where does that leave me? Dependent on my ex's money? No thank you. Then call it a loan. With interest. Completely professional. She studied him. Why do you want to do this? Because you light up when you talk about your business ideas. Because you're brilliant and deserve the chance to build something yourself. Because I love you and want to see you succeed. That's manipulative. Using love to push money on me. It's support. There's a difference. Amara set down her coffee. If I accept, and that's a big if, it has to be completely separate from our relationship. Business terms. Contract. Interest. If I default, you collect like any other client. No special treatment. Deal. 3 months later, Amara opened her own consulting firm. Small office in Gangnam. 2 employees. Clients from both her previous company and new connections Tae-jun helped facilitate. Carefully, keeping her reputation intact. She thrived. Watching her succeed made Tae-jun happier than any amount of money or power ever had. You're staring again, she said one evening in her new office after hours. It's creepy. It's appreciation. Still creepy. But she smiled. Thank you for believing in me. For supporting this without taking control. Thank you for letting me be part of it. She moved to him, straddling his lap in the office chair. 3 months ago I was terrified of you. Terrified of this. Now I can't imagine my life without you in it. How did that happen? Magic. That's not an answer. Then call it healing. We healed each other. She kissed him. Deep and slow. Take me home. Your place or mine? Yours. I like waking up with the view from your penthouse. They left together. Two people who'd found unexpected love in the middle of their broken pieces. 1 year into their relationship, Tae-jun faced a crisis. A major deal went sideways. Not his fault but his responsibility. Millions of won in losses. Angry investors. People demanding his head. He handled it with his usual efficiency. Made people whole. Absorbed the losses personally. Rebuilt trust. But it took its toll. For 2 weeks he barely slept. Worked 20-hour days. Snapped at his people. Felt the old numbness creeping back. Amara watched it happening. Said nothing at first. Gave him space to handle business. But when he showed up at her apartment at 2 a.m., exhausted and hollow-eyed, she intervened. You're falling apart, she said without preamble. I'm handling it. You're not handling it. You're drowning in it. When's the last time you slept more than 3 hours? I don't remember. When's the last time you ate a real meal? Amara. When's the last time you let yourself be human instead of a machine? He didn't have an answer. She pulled him inside. Sat him on her couch. You're going to shower. Then you're going to eat. Then you're going to sleep for at least 8 hours. And you're not allowed to think about business until tomorrow afternoon. I can't just. Yes, you can. Your lieutenants are capable. The world won't end if you're unavailable for 12 hours. But you will end if you keep going like this. She was right. He knew she was right. Tae-jun showered. Ate the food she prepared. Let himself be cared for. They lay in her bed afterward. Her arm across his chest. His hand in her hair. I was starting to feel numb again, he admitted. Like after the accident. Like I was disappearing into the work and losing myself. I know. I could see it happening. Why didn't you say something sooner? Because you needed to realize it yourself. I can't save you from yourself, Tae-jun. I can only remind you that you're worth saving. He pulled her closer. What did I do to deserve you? You showed up. You were honest. You let yourself be vulnerable. That's all anyone can do. They fell asleep like that. Two people who'd learned that love wasn't about saving each other, but about reminding each other that they were worth the effort of saving themselves. 18 months after that first meeting in his casino, Tae-jun asked Amara to move in with him. Your place or mine? She teased. Mine. More security. Better view. Enough space for both of us and your work. She pretended to think about it. What about my independence? My need for space? I'm not asking you to give up anything. I'm asking you to share space. You keep your consulting firm, your friends, your life. Just base it out of my penthouse instead of your apartment. And if we break up, then you move out and we handle it like adults. I still keep my promise. Clean break. No retaliation. She moved closer. You really think we're going to break up? No. But I promise transparency about risks. That's a risk. Amara kissed him softly. I'll move in. But I'm bringing all my furniture. And my cooking supplies. And you're going to eat Nigerian food at least 3 times a week. I can live with that. She moved in 2 weeks later. Watching her arrange her things in his space. Their space now made Tae-jun's chest tight with emotion he didn't have words for. You're staring again, she said, placing African art on his walls. I'm appreciating. You're being sappy. I'm in love. She laughed. That sound he'd fallen in love with. The sound that still made his body respond after all these months. 2 years after meeting, they were still figuring out how to build a life together. Not perfect. Tae-jun still worked too much. Still made decisions that scared her. Still lived in a world where violence was currency. But he was trying to transition, moving more money into legitimate businesses, slowly extracting himself from the underground economy. It'll take time, he told her one evening on their penthouse balcony. You don't leave this world quickly. But I'm building an exit. Why? Because I want a life with you that doesn't come with constant danger. Because you deserve better than looking over your shoulder. I knew what I was choosing. That doesn't mean you have to keep choosing it forever. Amara turned in his arms. I love you, Kim Tae-jun. The dangerous man trying to be less dangerous. The lone shark who cares about ethics. The impotent man who healed. All of you. Even the broken parts? Especially the broken parts. They're what make you human. He kissed her. Slow and deep. Soul glowed beneath them. Infinite in its chaos and possibility. 3 weeks later, Amara collapsed in her office. Tae-jun got the call at noon. His head of security, voice tight with controlled panic. Boss, your woman is being rushed to Seoul National University Hospital. Unknown medical emergency. The world tilted. He was in his car within 2 minutes. Traffic laws became suggestions. Every red light an obstacle between him and the only thing that mattered. His mind spiraled through possibilities, each worse than the last. Someone got to her. I failed to protect her. The threats came back. She's hurt because of me. He arrived at the hospital 17 minutes later. Left his car blocking the emergency entrance. Didn't care. The ER nurse recognized him. Everyone in Seoul knew Kim Tae-jun's face, and immediately led him to where Amara lay behind a curtain. She looked small, vulnerable, and four in her arm. Monitors beeping steadily, but conscious. Alive. Tae-jun. Her voice came out weak. I'm okay. It's not. What happened? He took her hand, felt her pulse under his fingers. Real. Steady. I fainted at work. They brought me here. But I'm fine. The doctor said. I'll ask the doctor. He turned to find the attending physician. Tae-jun, wait. Amara tightened her grip on his hand. I need to tell you something first. The fear in her eyes stopped him. What is it? She took a breath. I'm pregnant. The words hung in the air like smoke. Solid. Undeniable. You're. He couldn't finish the sentence. 12 weeks. I found out 2 weeks ago, but I was waiting for the right time to tell you. I didn't want to faint at work and have you find out this way, but... Her voice cracked. Are you angry? Angry? Tae-jun sat on the edge of her bed. His hand shaking as he reached to cup her face. I'm terrified, he admitted. But not angry. Never angry. We didn't plan this. No. It's complicated. Yes. Your world. Your business. Bringing a child into that is the best reason I've ever had to leave that world completely. He pressed his forehead to hers. A baby. We're having a baby. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm scared. So am I. But we're scared together. The doctor arrived then. Young. Professional. Clearly uncomfortable delivering news to Kim Tae-jun. Ms. Okonkwo fainted due to low blood pressure combined with dehydration. Common in first trimester. The pregnancy is healthy. The baby is fine. But she needs rest and fluids. What else? Tae-jun demanded. What else does she need? Less stress would be ideal. Pregnancy can be physically demanding. Emotional stress compounds that. Less stress. In his world. With his life. Impossible. Unless he made it possible. That night, Amara rested in their penthouse. Tae-jun sat beside her. His hand on her still flat stomach. I need to tell you something, he said quietly, about why I reacted the way I did when you told me. You reacted fine. I reacted terrified. And I need you to understand why. She waited, patient as always. My mother died in childbirth, Tae-jun said. She was having my younger sister. Complications. Rural hospital. Not enough resources. My father was powerless to save her. Just had to watch her die. Amara's hand covered his. I didn't know. I never told you. My sister survived. Barely. And my father. He loved her, but he also resented her. She lived and our mother died. That resentment destroyed him. Destroyed us. You're afraid of losing me. I'm terrified of losing you. And I'm terrified of resenting our child if something happens. I know that's irrational. Modern medicine. Seoul's hospitals are excellent. But the fear is still there. Amara pulled him close. Thank you for telling me. For being honest about the fear instead of pretending it doesn't exist. Does it change things? It makes me understand you better. And it makes me more determined to survive childbirth just to prove your fear wrong. Despite everything, he laughed. That's very you. Someone has to balance your catastrophic thinking. They lay together. His hand never leaving her stomach, feeling for movement that wouldn't come for weeks yet. I'm leaving, he said suddenly. My business. My organization. All of it. I'm done. Amara lifted her head. You can't just leave. You said yourself it takes time. I'll make time move faster. I have enough money to buy my way out. Enough power to negotiate terms. Enough connections to ensure no one retaliates. I'll be out before this baby is born. That's 6 months. Then I have 6 months. She searched his face. This isn't just about the baby, is it? No. It's about you. About us. About building something that lasts. I'm tired of living in a world where danger is currency, where violence is expected, where my child would grow up knowing their father hurts people for a living. What will you do instead? I have legitimate businesses. Real estate. Investments. I'll focus on those. Build something clean. You'll be bored. I'll be alive. Really alive. Not just surviving. That's worth boredom. Amara kissed him softly. Okay. Okay. If you're leaving that world, I support you. Completely. The next 6 months were the most intense of Tae-jun's life. He negotiated his exit with surgical precision, paid off debts, transferred territories, made people whole. Some of his lieutenants understood. Some felt betrayed. Yoon-suk, who'd been with him for 15 years, confronted him directly. You're walking away because of a woman and a baby? I'm walking away because I finally have something worth walking toward. What about loyalty? What about the people who built this with you? I'm ensuring you're all protected, positions secured, money guaranteed. No one's being abandoned. Yoon-suk shook his head. You've changed. The old you would never have left. The old me was miserable and didn't know it. This version is happier. I'm choosing happiness. Not everyone accepted his exit gracefully. There were threats, attempts to pull him back in. One rival organization tried to use his impending fatherhood as leverage. They learned quickly that negotiating exit didn't mean becoming soft. Tae-jun handled that threat with the brutal efficiency he was known for, then made it clear. He was leaving on his terms, and anyone who tried to stop him would regret it. By month 7 of Amara's pregnancy, he was out. Completely. No more underground casinos. No more loan sharking. No more violence as business strategy. He felt lighter than he had in 15 years. Amara's belly grew round, beautiful. She glowed with pregnancy in ways that made Tae-jun's chest ache. He was obsessive about her health. Doctor appointments, nutrition, rest. He probably drove her crazy with his concern. I'm pregnant, not fragile, she reminded him constantly. I'm aware. Then stop hovering. Can't. Father's prerogative. She'd laugh. That sound he loved. The sound that had healed him. Her consulting firm continued thriving. She worked until month 8, then reluctantly agreed to maternity leave. I hate being inactive, she complained from their couch. You're growing a human. That's pretty active. You know what I mean. He did. Amara wasn't built for sitting still. But the doctor had insisted on rest during the final month. Tae-jun worked from home to keep her company, handled business calls while she read, brought her snacks she claimed not to want but always ate, rubbed her feet when they swelled. You're too good at this, she observed one evening. Were you secretly a caretaker in a past life? I'm making up for 15 years of being terrible at caring about anything. You cared about your sister. That's different. She was obligation. Your choice. Amara's eyes filled with tears. Pregnancy hormones made her emotional about everything. That's the sweetest thing you've ever said. I have my moments. Labor started 3 weeks early. 2 a.m. Amara woke him with a gasp. It's time. Tae-jun moved on instinct. Bag already packed. Car ready. Route planned. But all his preparation dissolved the moment he saw her face contract with pain. Breathe, he said. Like the classes taught us. I am breathing. It still hurts. I know. I'm sorry. You did this to me. I did. If you ever suggest doing this again, I'm divorcing you. We're not married yet. Then I'm leaving you. Permanently. Despite the pain, despite the fear, he smiled. Understood. The drive to the hospital took 12 minutes. Every red light felt eternal. Every contraction made his chest tight. His mother's death loomed large in his mind. The old fear resurfacing. Tae-jun. Amara grabbed his hand. I can feel you spiraling. Stop. I'm fine. You're terrified. I am too. But we do this together. Both of us present. Both of us fighting. Okay. Okay. They arrived at Seoul National University Hospital. The same hospital where she collapsed months ago. But this time they were prepared. The labor was long. 18 hours of contractions and pain, and Tae-jun feeling utterly helpless. He'd faced down rival gangsters, negotiated million-dollar deals, built an empire through calculated violence. But watching Amara in pain broke him completely. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. Stop apologizing and hold my hand. He did. Through every contraction, through every scream, through every moment of fear that she might not survive this. The doctor was calm, professional. Everything's progressing normally. You're doing great, Ms. Okonkwo. I don't feel great. I feel like I'm dying. You're bringing life. That's the opposite of dying. Finally, after 18 hours, the doctor said the words, "One more push." Amara screamed, a sound that would haunt Tae-jun's dreams forever. And then a different sound. Smaller. Higher. Their daughter's first cry. The doctor placed her on Amara's chest. Tiny. Perfect. Covered in vernix and blood and absolutely beautiful. She's here, Amara sobbed. She's really here. Tae-jun couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Could only stare at the impossible miracle in his wife's arms. Not wife. Not yet. But soon. Do you want to hold her? The nurse asked. Did he? His hands felt too rough. Too tainted by everything he'd done. How could he hold something this pure? Tae-jun. Amara's voice cut through his spiral. Hold your daughter. The nurse placed her in his arms. So light. So fragile. She opened her eyes. Unfocused but searching. And something fundamental shifted in Tae-jun's chest. This was what he'd been building toward his entire life without knowing it. Not power. Not money. Not fear or respect or territory. This. Hi, he whispered. I'm your Appa. I've been waiting for you. The baby made a small sound. Almost like she recognized his voice. You're perfect, he continued. Absolutely perfect. And I promise, you'll never know the darkness I lived in. Only light. Only love. Only this. Tears streamed down his face unchecked. Amara watched him. Her own face wet with tears. You're a father. I'm a father. How does it feel? Terrifying. Overwhelming. Like everything finally makes sense. They named her Zuri. It meant beautiful in Swahili. Amara's mother had suggested it before she died. A name that bridged both her African heritage and her Korean future. Zuri Kim. Beautiful and perfect in theirs. The first week home was chaos. Feeding every 2 hours. Diaper changes. Exhaustion so profound Tae-jun couldn't remember what day it was. But also joy. Watching Zuri sleep. Feeling her tiny hand wrap around his finger. The way she relaxed completely when Amara sang Nigerian lullabies. We made this, he said one night, holding Zuri while Amara slept. We made an entire human. Zuri blinked at him. Not really focusing yet. Just existing. I used to be a bad person, he told her. I hurt people. Made money through fear. Built power on violence. But your Amma changed that. She made me want to be better. And you sealed it. I'm done with that life. Forever. You'll only know the version of me that's trying to be good. The baby made a small sound. Content. Is that approval? I'm going to take that as approval. Amara's voice came from the bedroom doorway. You're talking to her. She's a good listener. She's 3 weeks old. She doesn't understand. She understands that I love her. That's enough. Amara moved to join them. The three of them on the couch. Zuri between them. This is it, she said softly. This is what we fought for. Worth it. Every terrifying moment. 6 months later, Zuri was sitting up, babbling, grabbing everything in reach with determined little hands. She had Amara's eyes, Tae-jun's stubborn chin, a perfect blend of both their features. Watching her grow consumed him in the best way. His business, the legitimate one, thrived. He'd become one of Seoul's most successful real estate developers. Clean money, clean reputation, no more looking over his shoulder. Amara's consulting firm had expanded. 3 new employees, clients across Asia and Africa. They built something real. One evening after putting Zuri to bed, Tae-jun found Amara on their balcony, the same spot where they'd stood so many times before. "I have something for you," he said. "If it's another expensive gift, I'm going to be annoyed. You know I don't need." He pulled out a small box, opened it to reveal a ring. Amara's breath caught. "Marry me," he said simply. "I know we have a child together. I know we already live like we're married. But I want it official. I want you to be my wife. I want Zuri to grow up knowing her parents chose each other completely. That's not a question. Marry me." He smiled. "Better. Much." She took the ring, studied it. "This is beautiful. Is that a yes?" "That depends. Are you proposing because you love me, or because you think it's what we're supposed to do?" "I'm proposing because 3 years ago I was a ghost. You brought me back to life. You healed something I thought was permanently broken. You gave me a daughter. You made me want to be better. And I want to spend the rest of my life proving I deserve you." Tears filled her eyes. "You already deserve me. Is that a yes?" "Yes. Obviously yes. I love you, Kim Tae-jun. The reformed gangster. The dedicated father. The man who learned how to be human again." He slipped the ring onto her finger, pulled her close, kissed her like he'd done 1,000 times before, but somehow this felt different. Final. Permanent. Sealed. "Thank you," he whispered against her lips. "For what?" "For arguing with me about a slot machine. For taking a chance on a dangerous man. For healing me without trying. For giving me everything I didn't know I needed." She laughed. That sound he'd fallen in love with. "You're so dramatic." "I learned from the best." Inside, Zuri started crying, needing attention. They went to her together. 2 people who'd found each other in darkness. Who'd built light from broken pieces. Tae-jun picked up his daughter. She immediately stopped crying, content in his arms. "You're good at this," Amara observed. "I'm trying." "No. You're succeeding." 1 year later. The wedding was small, intimate, just family and close friends. Amara wore a dress that blended traditional Nigerian fabrics with Korean design. Beautiful and unique. Exactly her. Tae-jun wore a tailored suit. Simple. Elegant. No pretense. Zuri, 18 months old now, served as flower girl. She took the job seriously, walking down the aisle with careful steps, dropping petals with grave concentration. Everyone laughed. The sound filled the garden venue with warmth. When Tae-jun saw Amara walking toward him, his chest tightened with emotion. This was real. They'd survived everything. The danger, the fear, the complications, and they'd come out the other side stronger. The ceremony was brief. Vows they'd written themselves. Amara spoke about taking chances, about choosing love despite logic, about building something beautiful from terrifying beginnings. Tae-jun spoke about healing, about being brought back to life, about learning that strength sometimes meant vulnerability. 3 years ago I couldn't feel anything, he said. Then you argued with me about a slot machine and everything changed. You made me human again. You gave me a family. You showed me that power built on fear is empty, but love built on honesty is everything. When they kissed, Zuri clapped. Everyone joined in. 2 years after the wedding, they built a life that looked nothing like Tae-jun's past. A house in Seoul's suburbs. Large garden where Zuri played. Space for Amara's consulting firm to operate. Tae-jun's real estate company had become one of Korea's most respected. He'd completely shed his criminal reputation. Some nights he barely recognized himself. Do you miss it? Amara asked one evening. The old life. The power. Never. Not even a little. Maybe the simplicity. Decisions were clear. Problems had direct solutions. This life is messy, but better. Infinitely better. Zuri ran into the room. 3 years old now. Full of energy and questions. Appa, come play. What are we playing? Tea party. You're the guest. Tae-jun, former gangster, former loan shark, reformed criminal, sat on the floor of his daughter's playroom and pretended to drink tea from plastic cups. Amara watched from the doorway, smiling. You're good at this, she said. At tea parties? At being happy. He looked at his daughter. At his wife. At the life they'd built. Yeah, I am. 5 years after meeting. Tae-jun stood in his daughter's room. Zuri was 4 now. Asleep. Clutching a stuffed animal Amara's mother had sent from Nigeria. He watched her breathe. Still amazed that she existed. That he'd helped create something this perfect. You're staring again, Amara said from the doorway. I'm appreciating. It's still creepy. But she smiled. That smile that had changed everything. They returned to their bedroom. The penthouse they once shared as new lovers. Now filled with family photos. Children's toys. Evidence of life lived fully. Do you remember that first night? Tae-jun asked. In the casino? When you ran away from me? Yes. I ran away because you terrified me. I was arguing about 500,000 won. I was hardly terrifying. You were everything. And I knew even then, that letting you into my life would change everything. Amara moved to him. Wrapped her arms around his waist. Regrets? None. Fears constantly. But no regrets. What are you afraid of? That I'll wake up and this will have been a dream. That I'm still that broken man wandering through his casino. That you and Zuri aren't real. She kissed him. Soft and deep. We're real. This is real. And you're not broken anymore. Because of you. Because of us. We healed each other. They stood together. 2 people who'd found wholeness in each other's broken pieces. Outside, Seoul hummed with endless possibility. Inside, a former gangster and the woman who'd saved him built something that transcended both their pasts. Love. Family. Hope. Everything he'd thought impossible. Everything she'd helped make real. The doctor told him it was permanent. But Amara Okonkwo's voice proved that sometimes, healing comes from the most unexpected places. If this story reminded you that love can fix what medicine can't, that vulnerability is strength, that broken people can build beautiful things together, drop a like. Hit subscribe if you believe in second chances. And comment below. What would you risk for love? Because Kim Tae-jun risked everything. And found out that everything was exactly what he needed. Don't subscribe if you're happy with surface-level romance. But if you want stories that wreck you in the best way, we'll be here. With more Afro-Korean tales that prove love is the most dangerous weapon of all. See you in the next story, where healing comes from unexpected places, and broken men find salvation in the voices of fearless women.